the Washington Post released their list of top Democrats with a fighting chance at winning the 2024 presidential election. And their top 10 candidates may surprise you, or may not. In 10th place, the Washington Post named New York's very own AOC, followed by California Governor Gavin Newsom and the senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker. At the 7th spot is Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, followed by North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Amy Klobuchar took the 5th spot on the list, followed by Elizabeth Warren at the 4th spot. The top 3 candidates chosen by the Post, you guessed it, Vice President Kamala Harris, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and of course, President Biden. Now,
Pete ahead of Harris. God, her people got to be furious about that.
I mean, the reality is, I think that no one in Washington is defending or pretending that she hasn't been a real sore spot for the Biden administration. The idea that Pete Buttigieg has a natural constituency beyond that, I think, is also far-fetched. Mm-hmm. Cory Booker seems like a really nice guy, but the article basically makes the argument that because he had a bit of a viral moment during the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing, that has put him on the radar and made his presidential ambitions better than the flop that they were in 2020. No disrespect, he seems like a real lovely man.
Cory Booker was a more appealing candidate, at least to me, 10 years ago, when he was a kind of different especially on education issues. He actually, back in the day, was working with Betsy DeVos before she was education secretary. You probably don't like any of these policies, but I like these policies, and many Democrats do like these policies. Not the arch progressive left, but many Democrats do on education and school choice and things. But he's basically kind of thrown that overboard.
Yeah, we live
now
in a
he's just
time.
Indistinguishable. It is a different time.
10 years ago, when we were still kind of in the halo of the Obama era, and we had different expectations of politicians, someone like Cory Booker really did seem like he could be up and coming. But then we got into the Bernie era, where suddenly progressives started to care if you were taking money from the pharmaceutical company, as Cory Booker did for so many years. And they started to care if, not see bipartisanship in terms of bending the knee to advance neoliberal, regressive education policies as a good thing, as a kind of generalized good bipartisan effort, but instead as betraying the base. And at that time, even though I think Cory Booker has a lot of things to recommend him, ultimately he didn't have the integrity and the willingness to stand on his own and be his own man that a lot of progressives, and frankly,
I don't think he had the integrity because he betrayed all those policies that he clearly believed in, because the direction of the party was to, go against all that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you make of this idea that there could be an appetite for even an Amy Klobuchar in this allegedly moderate America that everyone's talking about?
I mean, you're going to laugh at me, but I actually do agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think the moderate, older, religious Democratic voter is often, which is a massive constituency. It's not a constituency well represented on Twitter. It's not a constituency well represented by the kinds of very progressive younger staffers who advised Hillary Clinton and have staffed the Biden White House. It's not a constituency that they understand, but they are the kind of people who like an Amy Klobuchar, I guess a Mayor Pete, and a Biden, what we actually have. So it's important not to totally neglect or forget them.
So this article points out that Amy Klobuchar peaked with 20% of the vote in New Hampshire. Yeah. That was her best showing in 2020. Yeah. So if these voters are out there, they're not coming out for their girl when it matters.
Well, right. Okay, they came out for Biden. Absent Biden, I don't know who these people gravitate to. There is no single figure with as much Kamala Harris will have as much name recognition so we're in the post-Biden landscape. That's not going to be 2024. So we're thinking of that in 2028. Harris will have the kind of name recognition to some degree, maybe a little bit less because she's not as well liked as he is, that Biden has, and I think it will probably be hers to lose for that reason and no reason other.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom even being on this list?
What was that about? I mean, maybe you can explain that to me. Who thinks Gavin Newsom Gavin Newsom was almost recalled from office. He's despised. Does anybody like him?
Yeah, I cannot explain that to you, but I do think that there are a lot of big brain pundits who would like to try to push the idea of someone like Newsom because, I don't know, they like California, he's tall, he has good hair, and that's the limit of their political
They just want to make their list sound interesting. They might as well put Andrew Cuomo on the list and be like, he could make a comeback, ooh.
I know, where's Andrew Yang? I thought you were going to say that, or Eric Adams.
That would be interesting.
That could be interesting. I do have to also call out that they're still trying to make Elizabeth Warren happen. Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Warren, who again, I'm sorry to keep bringing up these very inconvenient for lots of folks 2020 numbers, but who came in third in her own state of Massachusetts. Another person who is not, like Gavin Newsom, not even popular among their own constituents.
Well, she, more than any other candidate, is the favorite candidate of Twitter, of staffers, of the kinds of people I'm denigrating. She was very clearly their choice, and thus she was getting all sorts of positive, the most positive media coverage of how smart she is, how many great plans she has, trying to make her happen. It didn't work because she doesn't resonate with voters at all. But I don't know. But she could make another go of it, and she could, benefit from greater name recognition next time around. So I certainly wouldn't discount her in what will be a more wide open field that I think Kamala Harris will be favored to get the nomination again, just based on name recognition.
You are not a Trump guy.
No.
So if it's Trump, and let's pretend it weren't Biden running, who among this crew would you pick to go up against Trump to beat him?
If I want, so I'm going to vote Libertarian regardless. So I'm not going to vote for either of these.
But you get to pick. You get to do the Pied Piper thing that Hillary Clinton did to pick her opponent in 2016.
In last time around, I said if Biden had picked Tulsi as his VP, I would have voted for him. That was my...
Okay, but she's not on the list.
Right. No, she's going to be a Republican by the time this comes around. Who would I most think from that list, other than Biden, to beat Trump? I mean, probably Pete, honestly. I know he's very disliked.
And you're religious right. I didn't say this, but you're moderate religious right America that you think wants to rally behind Amy Klobuchar. You think there's not going to be any issues with Pete Buttigieg and being a same-sex couple, all of the backlash that he got over adopting the twins, and David Rubin, who is on the right, getting all of that backlash about starting his family, even among his own conservative audience.
All those people are going to vote for Trump anyway, so I don't know that he's losing more people.
Fair enough.
I'm not saying he's a terrific candidate. He's the more likable, I think, of those people. Maybe Klobuchar would be fine too. It's not a very. It's an indictment of the bench. It's not a very good bench. They need. Where's The Rock or something? Where's the celebrity?
The Rock is a Republican.
Well, is he? I don't know.
He's great.
Right.
He's also a Republican.
But that doesn't, Trump was not a Republican until he decided, right?
That is
Picking
true.
the party affiliation later, find the right candidate, and this is a very craven approach, but it's one that Trump has shown can actually work.
It's true. I can't deny it. It's bleak.
It is bleak. Where are the 8,000 senators? See, on the Republican side, you have so many people who want to run for president.
Okay, we keep saying that.
So many people.
But let's talk.
There were 14 people last time.
Yeah, well, there were 26 Democrats last time. That doesn't make them good.
I guess were there really? There were only 7 that were notable, right? There were more than that.
You didn't think that Deval Patrick was notable? You weren't one of the 3 people at the Deval Patrick rally.
That was a New York governor, right?
Massachusetts.
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, on this list, this Cooper guy, I'm sorry.
Who did he beat? They had him ahead of, did they have him ahead of Klobuchar?
He was ahead of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think he was in the 7th spot.
Sherrod Brown is... I see why he gets put on the list. Mm-hmm. It's not a crazy thing to think, I guess.
He's at the progressive. He's the one that's carrying the progressive.
I guess he's a little bit of a Bernie successor, possibly.
He's better than lots, but there was this moment that was very frustrating around the beginning of the last cycle where, again, there was some shifting that seemed to be him abandoning some of those core ideals. Oh. And progressives don't forget those kinds of things.
But no forgiveness among your people.
We're a very principled bunch.
Principled to a fault, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's a lot of overlooking on the Republican side unless you ever said something bad about Trump, and then it's not forgivable. So.
Yeah, well, that's quite some litmus test. I don't know that I would brag about that one.
Not bragging. Again, I will vote. I'm a principled. So I've decided I'm a single issue voter. I'm only voting for the most radically anti-COVID mandates candidate.
Robby.
So I will be voting for the Libertarian Party. I was voting for them anyway. but that's what I'm doing going forward. So we'll see. Although now I say that, but my candidate could end up being some crazy person, and then I'll be forced to recant that.
It's likely, Robby.
But I was perfectly happy with my candidate last time, Jo Jorgensen. Very nice lady. I don't know if you met her or familiar with her. Third-party solidarity. You must have some kind of third-party. We
are aligned on that.
Right.
Hashtag ranked choice voting, but that's a subject for a different panel.
Well, we can talk, and I'm sure our audience appreciates that we talk about the third-party choices, which are more interesting than a lot of these major party jerks. So
that's uncontested, undoubtable. All right. Well, our rising panel joins us next.